Is it worth joining your local economic alliance? Let's talk about that. All right, thank you for being here today. Today we are going to talk about, is joining your local economic alliance worth it? I have with me Katie Mahoney. Katie, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Mike. My name's Katie Mahoney. I'm the Chief Marketing and Business Development Officer with the York County Economic Alliance in Downtown Inc.
So, can you tell me a little bit more about what is an economic alliance?
Yeah. So we are a merger of the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Corporation. So we're fulfilling the mission of both. And then just a couple years ago, we brought our Main Street organization, Downtown Inc., into the fold that was doing very similar work. So a lot of times, big businesses will come in and say, we join our local chamber. Who's the chamber? We're the chamber.
Sure.
You know, we're
Right.
cutting your ribbons. We're small business support. We're here for every size of business.
Nice.
But then we're able to really kind of leverage that and take that another step further, where we're doing a lot of economic development work. So we're able to talk with a lot of our small businesses that are locally owned and then use their skills and talents for big economic development projects like the Yorktown Hotel.
So the Economic Alliance, I've heard it in other places. Are they all the same, or is the one here in New York, it feels kind of unique, right? It's got three different elements, the economic development, the chamber, and now this Downtown Inc.
Yes.
Does that make us unique here?
It does. It absolutely does. A lot of times you'll hear Economic Alliance, and it's usually something chamber-based, but it might be like a couple of chambers that came together in a different community, or it might be a chamber and EDC. Very rarely have I come across a chamber, Economic Development Corporation, and your Main Street organization. We actually added someone to our team almost 2 years ago now who oversees our Downtown Inc. program. Her name's Sarah, and she came here from Texas, and she said, this is the model I have been looking for everywhere.
Nice.
And it was really cool to hear somebody that really wants to come work with you, because this is the model and she has, decades of experience, that this is kind of her dream team model. So it's definitely unique.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So is every business, small business in this area a member of it?
No, I'd love to say yes someday.
Sure.
We're not quite there. We have about 1,100 businesses that invest in us annually, and I think that makes up something like 60,000 members of the workforce are members of us. Because if your company joins, all of your employees are members of the Economic Alliance.
That's
so
nice.
it is because if you're one person, you can't go to every single event, you can't read every single email, you can't be in every single thing. But you don't have to be.
Right.
Your company joins, and all of your team are welcome to take advantage of any of the benefits. So not all, but a good chunk of York County.
So I'm sure that you have been in the spot where you have been talking with business owners. What are some of the reasons that spoke to you about why they might not want to participate?
Yeah. So the first is always cost, right? With anything, you have to make sure that what you're investing, where you're putting your dollars, make the most sense for your business. And for a lot of businesses, especially if they're smaller, they're one-man shops, they're just starting out, they're really focused on maybe like their product or opening a storefront or whatever their goal is. They don't have time to come to 100+ events a year. They're not thinking about, how do I make connections and grow to the next level. They're working on their every day, and that's important. You need that.
That makes sense.
It does. You can't have one without the other, right?
And they don't even have to be like a solo entrepreneur. There's a mishmash of that word, but I can't say it. Solopreneur.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But you don't even have to be one of those who are busy, right? I have 37 other people in my company, and I struggle to find the time to participate in some of the community things that I want to participate in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's all kinds of sizes, and just, can you break away, or can you get somebody in your company who can help get that value back for you?
Right. And that's important to find the value of the membership. So if you aren't able to attend events because of capacity, time, we only get the 24 hours of the day each, or you don't have time to be posting things on social media, letting us know what your news is, reviewing your cost savings programs, then at the end of 1 year membership, you're going to say, this wasn't valuable to me. And,
Right.
and we know that. And we don't want to set you up for that either. So a lot of times when we meet with businesses, if they're concerned about the cost or they're concerned about time or they don't think they're going to be able to do those things to take advantage, it's not no, it's just not right now.
Sure. There's situations where the situation might change and that would change it. So it's not necessarily there's a downside, but I think there could be a downside. Doing some research, I was looking through newspapers and looking through like LinkedIn. There have been cases where folks were leaving the economic alliances because the economic alliances were not aligned with them, right?
Yeah.
Their particular economic alliance in their town was pursuing a course of action or a way, like, for example, they were supporting manufacturing and they were just supporting manufacturing only, whereas then all the retailers are like, hey, I'm left out here in the cold.
Yeah.
Do you guys see that? I mean, your mission here in York, is it comprehensive or kind of how do you balance that? Because you have to focus your efforts somewhere.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I could certainly see that happening in communities. And I've been with the Economic Alliance 8 years, so I'm sure over the course of years, those types of conversations have happened. And we've seen some groups kind of form out of that too, that maybe when the Economic Alliance was first created, it wasn't as focused on small business. It didn't feel like it was for small businesses anymore. And that was back in 2012. So now we really try to listen to the business community and what the needs are as a whole. We might not have every answer. We won't. Who has every answer, right?
Sure.
But a great example is back in right around the kind of the pandemic. We were noticing that a lot of small businesses needed access to capital, access to resources. They didn't know where to go. They had a business. They didn't know how to grow it. They didn't know how to hire their first employee. And we were hearing all of that and saying, well, what can we do to help that? We want to help that. It's going to help, build an ecosystem in York. It's going to help strengthen our retail, our small business community. So we created the Bloom Business Empowerment Center to do just that, to really focus on our small businesses. Because before that, it had been a lot of major manufacturers, construction, with the rich history of York lends to. And that's great and that's important, but what about our next generation?
Right.
And the data for York County was that we were lagging the state and national averages on small business birth rate. Okay. So that's a stat. I mean, that's a fact right there that we would be foolish to ignore that.
Sure.
So we really try to listen to the needs of the business community and address where we can, or sometimes just bring the right people together to talk about it. We hear now that there's a housing crisis across the nation, but that affects our workforce. And if they're able to get employees to fill shifts, to open businesses, we don't necessarily have the answer for that, but let's pull a bunch of people together and say, hey, we got to figure this out.
Right.
So we really try to listen to the community and find those answers, whether they're us or they're just bringing a bunch together.
Nice. So I was talking about this subject with a couple other people in preparation for this discussion, and one of the reasons they thought someone might choose not to join was if the majority of their business is maybe based here in York, but it's selling overseas, or it's selling outside of this marketplace. Do you see that being a reason why folks might not join, or is there still value where they could hit touching the local market and the community?
Yeah, I see both. It's a very valid reason. If you're trying to save a couple bucks, it's an easy thing to cut is your membership, right?
Sure.
You're not investing, locally. So why would I spend money at my local economic alliance? So completely understand that. And for some businesses, that does make the most sense. I think it really comes down to what the mission of that business is and what's important to them. So if giving back to the community where they're housed is important, then they're going to see that kind of a value in an economic alliance.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and if you have employees that are working here locally, you want to invest in the group that's making this a better place to live, work, and play for you, for your team. And then that would be us. So if those are core values to an organization, to a corporation, then they tend to still stay, still invest, still want to give back to the community that made them successful. But for some, it's not. They have their sights set on other seas.
Sure. Yeah. Literally other seas.
Yeah, literally other seas. Yeah, see how I tied that back in?
I did. So what about networking?
Yeah.
I'm thinking that one of the reasons someone might join the Economic Alliance is just the opportunity to get in the same room with other businesses their size, or prospects, customers, people that can help them, vendors, that sort of thing. Are there a lot of networking kind of opportunities?
Yeah, I would say that's one of the best resources that we have for businesses is the networking. So we do about 100 plus events per year.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
I was not expecting you to say 100 plus. I was like, I think 8, 10, 12, maybe one a month.
Yeah, we have a whole team. They do just events.
Wow.
We used to do about 150 before the pandemic. So 100 is like, easy breezy.
I can't even imagine.
And some of those are true, just like feel good events. We do First Fridays in downtown York. You're probably not going to come there and necessarily make a business connection, but it's where you're going to take your families, on a Friday night in downtown York, and you're going to shop local. So there's a big importance to that.
Right.
But then a lot of networking mixers, luncheons, breakfast series, bringing together the peers, people that are maybe your business size, but then also some that could be potential customers for you. So you have to kind of offer. We want to offer both.
Sure.
Where you're maybe brain sharing with somebody who's in a similar obstacle that you're facing, and you want to pick their brain, but then also getting you in front of decision makers who are then going to buy your product or contract with you. We want to make sure you have access to both.
Sure.
And we, again, it's very similar. We listen to our business community. What do they need? What aren't we doing? What do they need more access to? And again, sometimes it's just hosting a roundtable or hosting a webinar or sharing information that's on a podcast to help get them kind of better connected and say, oh, I should go talk with Mike. He brought up great things on that podcast. And
right.
Yeah, we're just the connector, the connector and convener.
Nice. So you mentioned two things there. You mentioned brain sharing. You mentioned information. You mentioned, I'm going to give you 3. I said 2. You also mentioned like a breakfast series. So in addition to networking, I'm thinking that something like the Economic Alliance, the Chamber, the EDC, that those are great places just of like resources and information. Are those like readily available for every member? Like, could someone in my company, since I'm a member, just reach out and...
100%.
Okay.
Yep. Everything, all the information's there. It's on the website. I always say, if you can't find something or you're not sure if we're the right resource, ask me, ask anyone on the team, even if that's, if you're at an event and you see our assistant VP of events and you want to ask her about health insurance savings, she might not know all the answers, but she's going to know exactly who to connect you with to get you the answers.
Right.
And that's what we're here for. So all the information is available to our members, to their employees. And we're always open to your ideas too. So if you saw an event in a different community that you think would be really valuable here, let us know. Maybe we can partner with you on it, or help bring that to fruition.
Nice. I know that you guys partnered with the Lancaster Chamber and the Lancaster City Alliance. I had a ribbon cutting at my business, which happens to be across the river in Lancaster, and we were celebrating our 50th anniversary, and we were able to get everybody together to do one ribbon cutting for that business with all 3 things. So that level of unity throughout the region is really nice. Yeah.
There's a lot of synergy, and I've said certainly in York County, but definitely regionally with Lancaster and Harrisburg. There's not a sense of competitiveness anymore. There's more a sense of collaboration.
Nice.
And that's so nice to see. That's how you are the strongest.
Nice. All right. We're going to end this soon. I'd like to give you last word.
Yeah.
For just the York County Economic Alliance. Just do you have anything else to add about pros or cons about why not?
Yeah. I'd say if you're considering it, if you have a business and you're doing business in York County or you're headquartered in York County, come and talk to us and let's see if it's a good fit. And even if it's maybe not a great fit right now, we think of everybody as you're either a member or you're a prospective member. So,
Right.
So love to have the conversation. And really, we want to help businesses here succeed and love York County. That's the core of our mission. So we are always open to a conversation on how we can just help strengthen you here.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you guys for being here. If you would like to have an idea discussed about whether or not it's worth it, you can email me at info@thinkhh.com.